You're listening to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. Welcome to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast, everyone. This is episode 61. Hope you all had a wonderful 4th of July. And we are going to be doing one more episode today, and I'm going to take a little break. Next week, I'll be in Ohio at the Ohio State String Teachers Workshop and taking some time for a little family vacation and a friend's vacation. And then I'm back to school July 26th, everybody. So it's here we go, right? Here we go. But I have a wonderful guest, and I want to bring her on camera here. And so here is our wonderful guest, Marie Patterson. Thank you so much for being here today, Anne-Marie.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm a big fan.
I'm a huge fan of yours too. We have you have so many great resources out there. We got to do a webinar a few years ago now already through ASTA, and and then just getting to see all the great work you do with your website and your books. We'll talk about that. Tell us a little bit about you, where you are, and a little bit about your background and your career.
Sure. I am in Fairfax County, Virginia. I teach at Frost Middle School. I love middle school orchestra. It's just my niche.
They're fun.
I've taught the others. I've taught elementary. I've taught high school, and I feel like with elementary, you work so hard to create them, and then you pass them off right away to somebody else, and you don't really get to develop them. But by high school, I feel like they're a little bit more set in their ways, and I just love teaching that middle area where they're just still figuring things out. Whether there's note reading or key signatures, but I feel like you can have the most impact on their development.
You definitely make a huge difference, in their lives, and you can kind of shape them.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like they're the most malleable there in that middle school. And in my school, it's just a fantastic school, and I have wonderful resources. I have a brand new room. We just got renovated.
Ooh, very nice.
Yes, I'm so excited. We have practice rooms. We have space. I have a locker room.
So is it like a brand new construction?
Or
they redo?
The music wing is a whole new build. And so I finally have a room myself. The previous years I had to share and toggle back and forth between band and chorus. So that was not fun for anyone.
Did you just get that this year then?
Yes, this was my first year. So we've had our first year in the new space.
I bet it was like a renaissance of just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have all this.
Yes, yeah. I can have a desk in, I had a desk before, but it was, in my classroom where I could just, grab what I need. And it's just, everything is, I lock up at the end of the day and it's all still there in the morning when I come back, not trying to share and feel like, I always felt like I was kind of in the way of the other teachers, the band teacher wants things his way and the course teacher wants things her way, so that was.
But now you have your room, your area, your office, your practice rooms, and
the community is so fantastic. The students come in. We have 4 levels of orchestra. I only teach 7th and 8th grade orchestra, but for only 2 grade levels, I have 4 different levels. Everything from basically beginner. I can take beginners at the lowest level. All the way up to kids, I'm not kidding, playing Paganini caprices, playing better than I do. I mean, it's just phenomenal.
Wow.
They come in with a lot of them have had private lessons. And, played forever. And so I do have a wide range. So even though it's middle school, I have everything from, basically elementary level through high school level playing, so.
At 7th and 8th grade.
Yep.
Now, do you start fresh beginners like from scratch in 7th grade too?
Not often.
Okay.
Although this coming year, I know that I'll have a couple of complete beginners.
Okay.
And I think the only time I did that before was actually during COVID, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah. The student was too shy to turn on his camera, though, so I don't think he made as much progress as maybe would have been if he had been in class. But yeah, so I can accommodate the beginners.
Nice.
Mostly that lower level class have had some training before, but
okay. That's great, though. That's great that you have that wide variety. So then, how long have you been teaching? Where are you from? I forget where all those details.
all the details. Well, I my life is sort of a case study of don't do it this way. This is
I,
not
I
this is
think we
not
all do that though, don't we? Everybody out there,
my
I'm
path
sure
is a little
everybody's done that at some point, right?
don't do it like this. This is not the right way. It was so my path has been so curvy. So whenever you have to fill out the how many years have you been teaching, what counts? Does private lessons count? I started teaching a kid when I was in high school, my senior year of high
Right.
school. I taught a kid, that lives out in the country and just wanted to learn to play the violin. And I saw years later that he had a song successfully published or produced, whatever, in Nashville. And he
What?
said in the news article that they wrote about this kid, they said that the only music training he ever had was some violin lessons when he was a little kid. Like, that was me.
There
I
you
had
go.
that impact on my very first student. He goes
That's
off and writes music in Nashville. So
that's amazing.
yeah, so yeah, I grew up in Pennsylvania,
Hmm.
actually right on the border between Pennsylvania and Maryland, on a fruit orchard.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
yeah, so I grew up working, and I think that probably had a pretty big impact on my work ethic. If I'm
Hmm.
not doing something, I feel like something's wrong. Like
No, I know. And this summer I started sleeping in. I mean, I'm usually a 4:45 a.m. riser.
wow.
That's just like that's what it is. And I went when I went to Alaska and I got back from Alaska, my system was all messed up, my timing, and now I've been sleeping until like 7 every day. And I'm like, what am I going to do when I have to go to school? Because like
Uh-huh.
I like to get up in the morning and do my coffee and take my time and maybe check email or whatever, and then my kids will get up and then I'll take them or whatever. And it's like, yeah. So it's messed me up a lot sleeping in. So
Well,
I'm like you because I feel like I just wasted 2 hours sleeping.
oh no,
You
yeah,
know.
the productivity of the day is cut down by 80%, whatever. But yeah, no. So I grew up, helping out on the farm and after school and Saturdays and all summer long. I was up at the market by 7:30 every morning. Till
Wow.
7:30 till 6 most summer days.
Mhm.
So, and my school orchestra program in high school was not the greatest. I think a lot of teachers tend to come from good programs
Mhm.
where they would have a wonderful teacher and they say that I want to be that person. I want that job. That was not me.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was. I mean, our orchestra program was more of a club. We met after school on
Oh,
Mondays.
okay.
Just and the teacher was a trumpet player. It was not a good situation.
Yeah, I mean, we had one orchestra in our high school, and, they were we were decent, but then I think about it, I look around and I was like, I remember there were kids who were, like, way better than me, even as a senior. There were some sophomores that are just, like, phenomenal players, and then we
Mhm.
had kids, like, that would filter to the back, and I remember kids really, really, really struggled, and so I'm thinking about that, and I didn't look at it from the teacher perspective back then, but I just knew who my friends were and where we were, like, we had seating and everything, but we had one orchestra, and it was like, wow, and
Yeah.
now I feel very fortunate to I have 4, this year at my new high school, and it's gonna be great. So, but yeah, it's interesting what some of the experiences that we had growing up, and then where we end up, taking our programs and our levels, or what we get to experience as teachers.
Yes. Yeah, so I took private lessons. My family was very musical. Everybody, played something, and we had a family joke that, whenever two or more are gathered, we're going to be expected to play. And you know, I just grew up playing, and I loved it.
Right.
And my parents were very supportive and got me private lessons with. I took lessons with my first violin teacher was the first female violinist of the National Symphony.
Whoa, really?
Yes, and she would tell stories about, going in there and all these men being like, "What are you doing here? You don't belong here. You're not one of us." Kind of like,
Wow. Oh
broke
boy. Oh
broke that
boy.
ceiling for us.
Yeah.
So, and then I took lessons with a member of the Baltimore Symphony, so very,
Hmm.
high-powered, great teacher. But it was really my youth orchestra, I think, experience that sort of kept me motivated
Oh
playing
yeah.
good kids that were also competitive and going to, districts and regionals, etc. So I credit my youth orchestra, as my, the push to continue to play, because otherwise I think I probably would have just dropped out. It was not a good experience in school.
Yeah, my students asked me like, what youth orchestra were you in, Dr. Laux? I was like, I wasn't good enough to get into even a regional orchestra, let alone
Okay.
like an all state or anything. Like, I mean, in Cleveland it was pretty competitive, but I
Mhm.
wasn't even close. And so
Yeah.
I owe so much to my undergraduate teacher, Dr. or Howard Beebe, because without him,
Mhm.
I would not have made it, you know. So he
Yeah.
really pushed me hard, but I didn't have those skills. So I tell the students like, you're more advanced than I was
Right.
when I was in high school, you know.
Yeah.
And then I also joke about the cell phones, and I'm like, well, remember the cell phone I'll tell you about the cell phone I had in high school, which they're like, what was it? I'm like, they're like, was it a first iPhone? I'm like, no, we didn't have any cell phones. I always joke about that,
Yeah.
but yeah, and it's a serious thing. It's like, you know, and I tell my students the same thing. If I had the grades and the test scores now, I wouldn't be
Yeah.
admitted to any of the universities I hold degrees from, which is pretty crazy because I didn't have the academics. I didn't really have as much support as a lot of my students have now. So it was kind of me doing my own thing, and I worked and paid for
Yeah.
stuff, and you know, so for me, it was I made a lot of my progress after high school, and not during. I
Interesting.
started lessons in ninth grade, I think. So yeah,
Wow.
so it was really
Wow.
late compared to a lot of my peers, you know.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
hmm
I mean,
But it could be done.
it absolutely can
Yeah.
be done. But I didn't come out of high school with that goal of becoming a string teacher like so many of our colleagues have had that, goal. So I went to college and just majored in music because they said, don't major what you think you want a job in, just major in what you enjoy doing.
Okay, that's
I
smart.
honestly,
That's a really great piece of advice.
yeah, I just didn't think their music career was even possible. I thought you had to be a child prodigy, and I wasn't that. So,
Yeah.
uh, but they said major what you enjoy. So I majored
hmm
in music performance, um, and one summer I ended up being a practice supervisor at Interlochen,
Oh,
and that was my first experience. It wasn't my responsibility to teach them, but I would go from room to room, making sure that they weren't, just running off during their practice sessions, that they were actually focused, because you can't have little kids unattended.
yeah.
So my job was to just sort of like oversee. But, as I would check in with them, they'd ask me questions and I'd help them. And, I really enjoyed it. And some of the kids started saying, "You're helping me more than my private teacher, thank you so much, and somebody else pointed out, like, you're really good at this. You should do this. So
So
I think that,
you went as a performance major?
yes.
Oh, okay.
No, well, so yeah, so my undergrad was performance, and so the interlocking thing happened, I think, the year before. No, that was before my junior year. Anyway, I probably should have
It was
changed
in the
schools.
middle somewhere.
Right, my school didn't offer music ed degree,
Oh,
so
okay.
they only had
What college did you go to?
this. This was Washington and Lee University
Okay.
in
Okay.
Virginia, Lexington. Great school, fantastic. And I'm sure they've probably grown the music program since I was there, but I don't, it's not really a teaching school. I don't know
Mhm.
that they have an ed program. So they had music performance, music theory, and music history, I think, were the three
Okay.
choices. So, but I didn't, I don't know. I wish somebody had sort of whispered in my ear, you should probably change schools. But I didn't. I stayed there and finished the performance degree. But I wanted that, I wanted to teach. And so I went for a master's degree. And, but at the time, I didn't want to be just an average orchestra teacher. I think I kind of had that little chip on my shoulder of disrespecting, some of the teachers of my past, and
Right.
thinking, I want to do better. And at Washington and Lee, it was such a small school that there weren't really a bunch of other performance majors for me to play with. And I couldn't even form a
Mhm.
string quartet because we didn't have a cellist. I mean, it was really small. Um, so, so I wanted to get myself surrounded by other really good musicians, and as I was also working on a music ed degree.
Mhm.
So I went off to grad school. I was kind of that square peg in a round hole, trying to
Yeah.
get into music ed, but from a performance. And I'm going to leave the names out at this point because I'm not trying to slander any
Sure.
institution. institutions or any individuals. That's not the point. But what happened in grad school was that my professor at first was very supportive of my performing and um, really referred to me as the shining star of the music ed department. And I remember thinking, what did I do to deserve that? But because I
Yeah,
haven't taught anybody
right.
anything, so how have I,
Well, I
excelled?
mean, maybe they saw your potential, and
Well,
you have
it
the.
was
I think you
because,
have the a great teacher personality. So
well,
that's
thanks.
that's I mean, in my students, I know I can see when they come in, and I want them to be like I know I would love them for them to go into education just because of who they are and how they carry themselves and their personality and how they care about other people and how they converse and their communication skills, and that's probably what it was.
Well, but I was also performing. I had
Yeah.
gotten myself into the university orchestra. I mean, I was like up in the front row.
Oh wow,
I
great.
wasn't in the back. I was in the front row of the university orchestra, chamber orchestra, opera orchestra. I got
Wow.
into the local professional symphony, and my string quartet made it to the finals of a national competition.
Wow.
So I was bringing
You
some sunshine to the music ed department where I think they didn't normally have.
okay. Yeah.
You
And
know,
you're
the
viola, right?
no
Or
violin.
violin. Okay. I don't know why I thought you were viola for a second. Okay, so you play violin. Awesome.
Yes. So
Mm.
yeah, so I was playing, but my professor told me I mean, I remember the words he used. Teachers don't perform. You need to stop playing. He said those words to me. I know
Wow.
we're all
Yeah.
in shock now,
Yeah,
but
that's
I think this was kind of an older mindset, and he was adamant that I needed to stop playing. And I think that if we had had this conversation, I think what he felt was that that my heart was in being a performance person and that I
mhm.
was getting the music ed degree as a safety
The
degree.
safety. Yeah, and people say that all the time. It's like, "Well, I'll get the music ed degree, for a backup." I'm like, "No, no, no."
Right.
When I was at the university, I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. We don't do it that way. You
And
you're
that wasn't my goal.
you teach from here,
Right.
and, if you don't wanna teach from here, then don't teach, please," you know? And so
Right.
I made it
Yeah.
very clear, and I said I would always tell them, "You can use your performance part as a backup,
Right.
or as a supplement because we know we love performing, we love playing, and as you get to be a teacher, it gets more difficult to do depending on your
Mhm.
situation, family, whatever.
Mhm.
But for me, and my teacher was like, even though you're a teacher, you need to be able to play and you need to continue playing. And I think, I mean,
Yes.
that was it's a Bob Gillespieism too. Is like the teacher should continue performing on their instrument, and Bob was a primary example of that with the Pro Musica he played with, and I mean
Mhm.
he plays all the time, So
Mhm.
I think the best teachers, if they're able to, with
Mhm.
given their time considerations and family first, all that, should continue to play, and
Yeah,
I
I
think it's
still
really
play.
important.
I play with the Alexandria Symphony, and it's just like, 4 or 5 times a year. But I talk to my students about what
Yeah.
I'm doing, and they get so excited about it. I had like 12 different orchestra families come to my performance this year of Beethoven's
Wow.
Ninth because I was so excited about it. And I always tell them I can get 2 free tickets, but everybody else, you gotta, got. But
Yeah.
I'm bringing kids into the performance venues, and their eyes just go like this. They're like, "Wow, I had no idea it
Yeah.
could be like this."
You definitely, can inspire them and can
Right.
inspire them to continue to play and want to real and make and also for me, it's making them realize that, yeah, you're a teacher, but you can also play, and it's not,
It's
what is the saying? The
those who
if
can perform and
yeah,
those who can't
thank you.
teach.
Yeah. Right, that's not how it works,
No.
Yeah.
No, and I want them to see me being successful in that area because honestly, it does affect their perception of me and their respect, and they're like,
Yes.
"Oh, yeah, I need to listen to you because you're not making this up. This is for real."
Mhm.
This works. So, um, so I had this experience in grad school and he not only tried to make me stop performing, but he really started yelling at me
Mm.
constantly. And not just about performing. It was just about like, I guess in his mind, I suddenly became that person that needed to be yelled at. And
Mm.
it was traumatic. I have never in my life needed to be yelled at for anything. And in my mind, I
Yeah.
was going above and beyond. There was never a conflict. There was never like I never had to miss a class because I was performing or any
Mhm.
of that.
Yeah.
That wasn't the issue. It was just that he saw me as somebody that needed to be, you know, beaten up
Mm.
verbally. And
That's not
so
good. Yeah.
No, it went from bad to worse to just like,
Oh, I'm
it
sorry.
it
That's
was, yeah.
very unfortunate, and that's 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 just terrible.
Yeah, so I guess you could say it all worked out.
Yeah.
Because obviously I'm back into teaching, but I didn't pursue a full-time teaching job for 15 years after that experience.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did not go into the classroom. I guess I don't know whether it was that I lost respect or that I associated the music classroom with that person and I was feeling rebellious, like, heck no, I want nothing to do with you. Well, and so then after I got my master's in music ed, I was only a few credits shy of getting a second degree master's in performance. So
Okay.
I did that. And then I was thinking, well, they seem to be having a lot of fun. Maybe I should just do what they're doing. I thought that there was this huge divide between my ability and a performing job, a
Hmm.
performing life. I didn't think that I had that, but then here I am getting a master's degree. I'm up there with everybody else and they're doing it. So why don't I do it? So I moved to DC and I started freelancing and teaching private lessons.
Okay.
I did
Great.
not get it. I did not go into the classroom. But the irony is that because I wasn't tied to a day job, I had, and all of the hours that go into that,
Yeah.
I had the flexibility to go to all these master classes and workshops
Mm.
and conferences and clinics and things with just, I still loved pedagogy. I just didn't want to do it in the classroom, I
Right.
guess. But that was where I really felt like I just did this in-depth, just real study of the
Hmm.
mechanics of playing. And when you're teaching private lessons, it's not the same dynamic as a classroom where
No,
you
there's
can
so many
try.
different things you have to worry about, and
Yeah,
yeah,
you don't have the behavior issues and
yeah.
the management and the flow. So
It's a lot less crazy.
wow,
Yeah.
it's a million times less
Yeah.
crazy. So I had the flexibility to sort of foment some ideas and try things out. And
Hmm.
um, that was where the rubber band things came from
Yeah.
that we use now. Yeah, and the student that I always tell the story, the student that I came up with for the rubber band. For anybody listening doesn't know what Charles and I are talking about here, we use rubber bands on the frog of the bow as a seat belt to keep the fingers
Yep.
down around the frog of the bow. Well, the student that I came up with that idea for has now graduated not only from, I think it was New England Conservatory, he has an artist diploma from Juilliard.
Wow. Rubber bands. It was all because of the rubber bands, Anne
Right,
Marie.
exactly. Yep, exactly. It just makes things easier, when
Yeah.
I do that. And that was in a private lesson setting. So would I've had that idea if I had been, like crazy in a school job? I don't know. So you can say that, things have worked out. I did obviously become, an orchestra teacher later on and
Now, when
teach.
did you start your public school career?
That was after I had kids, so I was a
Okay.
stay-home mom for a while, and teaching private lessons worked beautifully for that. So my
Hmm.
husband would come home from work, and he would take care of the kids, and I would be teaching my private lessons,
Yeah.
and that was a lovely balance. It kept me from going stir crazy as a new mom.
Well, and that's what it's all about is figuring
Yeah,
out that balance,
that
and
balance, right?
sometimes the public school gigs will work for people at certain times, and sometimes they just don't, work out
Right,
time wise, and um,
right.
so the great thing about being a teacher is that we can do the private lessons. We can, if you enjoy that. Some people don't enjoy private teaching, and
Mhm.
they only like, teaching groups, and some people are the opposite. But you got to find what
Hmm.
you love. But that's great. That,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
worked out.
yeah. Yeah, so that worked great, but then when they started, going to school,
Hmm.
after kindergarten age, I wanted to be more busy during the day and to be more free in the afternoons,
Right.
which I know that they would laugh when they hear that now because I'm just busy all the time now.
Yeah.
It's just
It doesn't always work out that you just got
that's
the 8 to 3 thing, and then we're home, and you
no, that's
know,
not how that goes at all.
yeah,
It's 8, well, for me, it's 7 to 2:30, whatever, but,
yeah,
then
right,
I'm on my laptop, like, I might be home, but I'm still working. But
right.
anyway,
And it's always in your head when you're
yeah.
in school, like, oh, what's next, or what happened today, or what do I have to
Yeah,
do?
it's just a round the clock job,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
But so yeah, I started teaching in the schools back when my kids were first starting school, and now my
Okay.
daughter has just graduated from high school and is going to college in the fall. I know.
Oh my goodness. So
Yes.
how is that? How does that feel? Like that's gotta. I mean, I know it goes fast because my son's going into high school, and it feels like
Yeah.
just a few years ago he was, getting on the kindergarten bus for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's a little bit surreal, but she's a very mature and responsible, reliable kid, and I'm just so excited for her to excel and explore opportunities. And
What you gonna major in?
she's actually interested in psychology.
Okay.
So, she played violin all through high school and had a wonderful experience. And I hope that she'll continue to play a little bit in college. But she's interested in pursuing psychology. And I'm
Cool.
like, great, all right, a non-musician.
Yeah.
Just kidding. We need someone to support us in our old
Is
age.
she gonna go far away or close to home?
She's going to James Madison, so it's
Okay.
about a 2-hour drive from here.
Perfect.
Great school. Everybody that talks about it loves it.
Yeah.
Just really the best things to say, and so I'm really excited for it.
Good. That's exciting. And then you have one more or two more?
Yes, I have a son who is he just finished his freshman year,
Okay.
and he's a up and coming French horn player.
Ah, nice.
He my husband is a trombonist. He was the
Oh,
lead trombonist of the Airmen of Note for any jazz people out there that might know the Air Force jazz band. But so when I
that's
tried
cool.
to make my son a cellist, my husband said, no, you got it. You already got the string player. Let me make this one a brass player. So, and actually, he didn't play an instrument for a while, but then I was conducting a youth orchestra, and he would always hear me say, I can never find French horn players. And finally, after a while, he said, Mom, what was that instrument you say you can never find? And I said, French horn. He said, I think I want to play that.
Yay.
And so,
Yeah.
of course, with a good ear, he's like, he picked out 5 songs the day he picked up the French horn. He's like playing
Nice.
one
Oh,
ear.
that's so great.
Yeah, so he's doing
Does he
really,
do
really
marching band or no marching band?
yes.
Okay, so that's
He
busy
loves
time.
it. He
Yeah.
is all in. He plays mellophone in marching
Yeah.
band. And yeah, so freshman year of high school, and he made like top band, top this, top that, and he made it into the senior. He got first year in senior regional orchestra his freshman year of high school, and everybody's like, "What? Who is
That's
this
great.
kid?" So,
Wow.
so yeah, we're all real proud of him.
Very
He's doing great.
cool. Very cool. And then so how are things going at your school, or what are you looking forward to? What are some things that you're looking forward to at your school this year?
Um, just I feel like, well, so I moved to this school in 2019, just in
Oh,
time for
okay.
because I had been in Maryland, and we moved
Oh, that's
to
right.
Virginia in 2019, and then COVID hit. So my first year, I was so overwhelmed. I mean, in my old district, all we had was email and like the grading system. Then I moved to Fairfax, and all of a sudden I'm learning, Google everything,
Yeah.
Google Drive, Google Classroom, Google Meet, and I just learned the job, and it was just overwhelming. And then COVID hit, and then we all had to relearn how to do everything. you know. So that this was the first kind of normal year. We were back in the classroom,
Right.
and we were from start to finish, and I feel like I'm just getting better at my job, and I
Good.
always get better at our jobs, but feeling more of the the swing, the momentum of planning, and
Yeah.
and and all of the things that go into the teaching year.
Yeah.
um, so
No, that's
yeah.
that's but I agree. I mean, I think last year was the most normal year, and then I'm just looking forward to like more normal years to bring back, and being that I have high school at 4 grades, so I can definitely tell like my juniors and seniors, that was they're still products of that COVID time, and
Mhm.
so at least starting their instruments, because like next year I have 20 seniors and I have 30 juniors, and then I got 55 sophomores and 55 freshmen. Like so, like it's definitely I need a few more years to like really not say weed out the COVID kids, but just to have a normal cycle, I should say.
Mhm.
Would
Yeah.
be would it's exciting. So that's what I'm most excited about is just having like another normal year to
Yes.
continue to build the
Mhm.
kids up and give them that experience again, and maybe some
Mhm.
new things, and add on a little bit more than I was able to do last year.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to.
Yeah. Always working on projects. I know you and I are both that way with
Yeah.
our videos, and
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna put the time into doing another video, but I know that during COVID we learned how to do like I was using Adobe Premiere Pro to make like my key signature videos, and
Yeah, those were great.
thank
And
you.
let me go ahead and pull up your website real fast. I have it here. Um,
Oh,
it
I
is
need to
called.
overhaul
It's on screen now, and you can't see that, but
it. Okay.
everybody that's watching can. It's called stringsintheclassroom.com, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
tips, ideas, and resources for teachers. You have a bunch of free resources and some videos on there, so everybody should check that out. There's a little bit about Anne on there. Um, Tell us about your book, which I have pulled up on the screen now
Oh,
too. It's called Basic String Technique:
right.
Practical Guide to String Instruction. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right, thank you. So I always almost feel like I have to preface what I'm saying by almost apologizing for writing a book. Like, oh, why did I feel like I needed to write a book? There's the past tense. I loved your book. What do you call it? Past perfect. I have loved your book. Past passive aggressive tense. I love that you thought that you should write a book. Um,
Well, I've always I thought that I wanted to do it, and for me, it just I have so many things that just it was hard for me to organize. But and maybe I'm just not there yet.
right.
But I love looking at different pedagogy books because yours
Yes.
is great, and Rebecca's, and Michael
Mhm.
Hopkins, and obviously Bob Gillespie's has been out for a long time, and then Carl Booth's book is amazing too. Like there's
Right.
so many great books out there, and
There is now.
everybody has their little twist of how they do things, and some of the things are the same in every book, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it's really cool to see the different viewpoints and how those
Different
things are.
approaches and things. Well, the reason that it came about was because the county where I was teaching in Maryland could no longer afford to pay itinerant string teachers to go to some of the smaller elementaries, and they were going to have to change to general music teachers teaching beginning strings, which
Wow.
we just like cringe, and we feel like that's going to be the death of the program. And I argued about it as much as I could, and tried to say, isn't there another way? Can we please find some money? And no, it needed to be that way. So, but they said, but we'll pay you. We want to pay you to teach them how to teach strings.
Okay.
And I finally thought, well, okay, if I can teach, a room full of beginner, fifth graders how to play, I should be able to work with other, musicians, even though they're not instrumentalists necessarily. So I started working with the teachers, and I started talking to them and teaching them and trying to develop some resources for them, because at the time all of those books that you just mentioned, they weren't out yet. And
Oh,
if
yeah.
Gillespie's book was out, I didn't know about it.
Mhm.
I don't know when that came out, but I didn't know. I mean, if I had had his book, I probably would have just handed that to them and said, "Here you go."
Right.
I didn't have any resources, and so I just started writing stuff down and taking pictures, and finally somebody said, "This is really good. You should try to get this published." So I thought, okay, that's kind of a good idea. Maybe I should do that. So I finished it all out, and I'm writing it and taking pictures. And for a while, I thought I was just going to self-publish. I really did not think that it would get picked up by a publisher. And one year, I just happened to be at Midwest with my husband because he was there for the Airman of Note playing at Midwest,
Okay.
and I was just kind of along for the ride. It was like, okay, free room, sounds Chicago at
Right.
Christmas, sounds
Yeah,
awesome.
you can't beat it, when you have a corporate sponsor in the Midwest, that's for
Right.
sure.
Yeah. So, all right, Midwest, here we go. So I had my book with me, and I was walking around, and I talked to some of the different publishers, and lo and behold, Kendor publishers were interested, and so we had a few meetings back and forth, and they ended up publishing it for me, and I just like complete shock.
That's
So
great.
I am hugely indebted to them, and honored that they chose to publish my book. But I think what kind of sets the book apart is that, first of all, I have tons of pictures in the book that not only show how you're supposed to do things, but also what some of the typical bad habits are.
That's great.
It really is designed for the teachers who are maybe new to string teaching. But I mean, there's ideas, and my thing with the rubber bands and the way I make pinky cups and things, that even veteran teachers, if they've never seen that idea
Yeah.
before, they might gain from. But it really was designed for to be just as practical and useful as possible. Tons of pictures, checklists and things. It really is the basics of what you would need for the first year, depending on your program, first year to year and
Sure.
a half. And it's just, but it's concise. it's not huge. It's, I forget how many pages, but it's not a huge volume. You can kind of look at it and see from the pictures, oh, that's what you're supposed to do, and then read the description, but it's all, just kind of
Yeah.
short to the point. So I
That's
think that's,
nice. Yeah, and like I said, it's just nice to have different viewpoints, and
mhm,
maybe you pick up an extra tip on one particular pedagogical strategy or
right.
technique,
Mhm,
from each new book that comes out, and um, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a lot of different resources out there because more to choose from,
yes.
yours is pretty concise. It's not crazy long.
Mhm,
Um, but if there are also some texts out there that are just a little bit longer,
mhm.
like Michael Hopkins is like two thick volumes. It's like the Bible of books,
Yes.
So if you really want like a lot of in depth on his website and his YouTube
Mhm,
channel is just amazing. But
yes.
so there's lots of different. I think it's great to have lots of different resources.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely.
but
So
congrats
I'm
on that.
yeah, thank you. At the
Yeah,
time, I thought, you can go into any Barnes and Noble and have 25 books on how to bake a cake, but why is there not any books on
yeah,
strict teaching?
absolutely.
All the books that I had were, mostly just for violin pedagogy, not, for the classroom.
Yeah,
The book that I had used in grad school, I went and found that was written in 1971. It was like,
right.
and it was
They're a little outdated. Yeah,
completely outdated, and it
yeah.
was like way too thorough in some respects and way too vague in others. It just like
Hmm.
it was, so I thought, all right, we need to do better. And I'm glad that it's not just mine that's out there now. I'm glad that there are tons of teachers.
Yeah,
So, and I own them all. I'm a pedagogy, just like,
I
if I find
know.
I buy it, I'm always interested to
Same,
see.
same.
And it evolves. I change, like, there's some things in my book that I don't do it that way anymore, or I'm learning new, better ways of doing things.
Have you
So
had anybody write to you and say, "Oh, this is not the right way to do it," or anything like that? No.
it's no,
Okay, I wasn't
I,
sure because there's always
I
skeptics, and people were like, "Well, I would do it this way or that way," and you
right.
know,
Yeah, no one is. I did seek out other people's feedback as I was writing it,
yeah,
because I thought, I know what I know, but what is the point of view of other teachers? So I did shop it around and try to get other people to look at it, and they gave me some pretty serious feedback at the
yeah.
time, but not since it's published.
Well,
I haven't gotten
sometimes
anybody
sometimes it's
saying
one of
it's
those
wrong.
things like I know how I explain it. Does that make sense to you? You know.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So
That's great. That's great.
so yeah. So that's through Kendor. Kendor has been sold to Excelsia, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
so
I guess I
you.
missed that one. I didn't know
Mhm.
realize Kendor was okay under.
Yeah, Kendor is under Excelsia, but Excelsia is still selling it. But
Yeah.
I also sell it on Amazon because
Okay.
well, Kendor wasn't. I don't think Excelsia does either. Sell on Amazon, but I wanted teachers to be able to just go on Amazon and type in,
Yeah,
violin,
and so
string teaching.
I have your website pulled up again here, and so yeah, if you go to stringsintheclassroom.com, you click on book, and you'll see right away there's a big old button. Click here to order from Amazon. So that's the easiest, probably the easiest way to get it. Then
Yeah, yeah,
perfect,
I would hope so. So yeah,
great.
that's
And
out there.
and your resources are. I'm just looking at some of your handouts here.
Mhm,
You have your note reading ladder. It's a PDF download. We can check it. Oh, that's really cool. I like that. Where the alto clef is kind of in the middle, and they have all the
mhm,
letter names here. That's great. And these are some neat resources that you'd be able to reproduce and give out to your kids.
mhm.
Your fingerboard maps. These are like JPEGs that you could use on your smartboard or just put up on your projector or even print out. Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I print those out for students because, as far as the fingerboard maps, it is wildly eye-opening to recognize how our students are so confused by what the notes are on their instrument. You
Yes.
think, we've taught this, we play these notes day in, day out. Surely they know this, but you put that fingerboard map in front of them and have them fill it out, and they are wildly confused. Maybe I'm telling on myself. I'm a terrible
Yeah.
teacher. No,
But you do
but
have some of those kids that are the visual learners, that need something like this. That
yes.
the vantage point of a violin or viola player is so odd because it's just, it doesn't make it. It's not very good for the eyes. This is
Right.
great for the eyes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that, and I'm planning on putting some more resources on it very soon. I haven't updated my website in a very long time, but, I'm actually doing, I'm very excited, in about 2 weeks, I'm going to be doing an 8-hour professional development session for the teachers in Gwinnett County, Georgia.
Oh, in Gwinnett. Oh, great. Yeah, you're just up the road.
Yeah, yeah. So they asked me to do an 8-hour professional development, and at first I thought, oh man, I don't know how I'm going to fill 8 hours. And now that I'm writing out all my slides and things, I'm thinking, wow, I really hope I can get this all in 8 hours.
Right. Well, that was my thing when I went to Alaska, because they were like, yeah, you're going to do 4 days and it's 8 to 4 with the lunch break. I'm like, how am I going to do 8 to 4 for 4 days? But, I pretty much gave them everything I had.
Yes.
One, and then two, it was, my camera's very blurry right now. Two, it was, we had a lot of great conversations, just like talking about
Yes.
like their successes and their problems and things that they could do. So it was really cool. It was a really
Great.
cool experience. Yeah. Trying to get my
Yeah,
camera to focus.
so I have some things that I'll probably be uploading to my website very soon, some more resources and also slides, like how I teach rhythm, or how I do teach playing at the frog or the bow. I have like a whole slide deck about playing at the frog. It's kind of it's goofy and silly, but kids get really into it, and so I just thought I'm happy to give that stuff away. So I'll be putting it on my website really soon.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you though. Like, keeping the website up to date is a challenge, and I have things that I would like to put on my website that I just haven't been able to do yet. So I definitely understand where you're coming from on that, as far as
Yeah.
keeping
Well,
it
it
up to
takes,
date
you
and
know,
the newest and greatest.
yeah, it takes it takes a deadline, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
because I know that I have this session in 2 weeks and I want it done by then, it'll get done.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would just like, oh yeah, I should probably be updating my website.
Right. And that's a great thing about doing the presentations, is that you have that little deadline, because I'm doing a little one for our COB teachers as we go back to school, just like a 20-minute thing, but I have to have those slides turned in by Monday.
Mhm.
And for ASTA, we have to have our slides turned in by Monday for the virtual summit. I'm doing
Oh,
a
great.
session at the virtual summit,
Mhm.
and then a couple at Ohio State. So I got some deadlines coming up for this
Yeah,
just the next few weeks too. So I get that
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
definitely makes you work even in the summer.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So
I love, I don't know, I hate being busy. I mean, I hate being bored. I love
right.
being busy.
Yeah.
And so I just love the freedom that you get in the summertime to be able to just like really invest in these projects and really, think about things or look
Mm-hmm.
things up. And it's my time to go back and look at all of my, all, like we're talking about all the books that we've bought. You need time to actually,
Get into
mentally
them.
chew on
Yeah.
them, and defend it. So, yeah, I love all that, and just having a reason to do it makes it even better.
Yeah. No, I agree. Um, this has been so fun to chat a little bit with you, and get to see your book and some of your resources, and just learn a little bit more about you. And I hope that everybody listening get to, if you want to get in touch with Anne, you can definitely go to her website. Um, and again, that website was stringsintheclassroom.com. Definitely check out her website, and you can contact her through the website, I believe, as well. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep.
And she does PD, like she said. She's going to be here in Georgia for a couple days, which will be great. I know the teachers up there will just love having you. Some great folks up there, Sarah Ball and Amy Clement, and my former student David Metrio, whose group is going to Midwest this year. I'm super proud of him, and but great, just amazing folks up there. So you're
Mhm.
gonna have a blast. They're just a lot of fun, great hospitality, and they will take care of you for sure.
Great. I'm looking forward to it. I can't
Yeah.
wait.
Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your summer, and
Thank you so much.
get
So
some
great to chat with you.
take some time to relax. And when do you start back to school then?
Not till August.
Yeah.
So I mean, we just got out mid-June.
Oh,
So
okay. So you'll start late August.
yeah,
Yeah. You don't.
I
I won't make
for
you
some
think about
reason
it.
I
You don't have to
block
think
out
about
the
it.
days. I don't know. I
You're
just
just you just know that you have a lot of
it's
time left. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
mid-August, and we'll figure
Yeah.
out the date. We'll see.
My days are definitely limited. We start school with kids August 1st. So,
Oh my gosh.
but we get out before Memorial Day, and our district, especially in Cobb County here, we do some amazing breaks. We have the third week of September off.
Wow.
Yeah. Then we have the Thanksgiving week off. We have our
Yeah.
our 2 weeks in December off, and then we get another break the third week of February, full week,
Wow.
President's Week off. And then
Wow.
we have our spring break the first week of April, and then we get out. So it's really great for reducing that burnout
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
students and teachers. So
Oh man.
yeah, and sometimes the breaks, the problem with breaks, and this is I think any break, is that you have that little bit of time before the break where kids check out, and then when they come back, it's like the groggy time where they're trying to get them refocused, So,
Mhm.
but I'm not complaining because it's really a great schedule. So,
Yeah.
but we do have to go back in July for teacher meeting. So, but
Oof.
anyways, you guys, Anne, thanks again for being here. I hope you all enjoyed it. It was great chatting with you, and I'm going to sign off. This is the last episode, I believe, for the summer, unless something crazy happened. But I appreciate everybody being here, and we will catch you guys next time on the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. For resources and more information, visit orchestrateacher.net.